Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I'm clearly audible to you. So, welcome to our orientation session, and this is the day one of the topic that we are going to discuss. That is, how can SAS Analytics enhance supply efficiency and performance? So, before going towards the topic, okay, first of all, we will discuss the agenda, what all the things that we are going to discuss today. So this is Tapashwini. I'm the consultant trainer of Sankhyana Consultancy Services since 5 years. Okay. So yeah. So let's start with the agenda. Whatever we are going to discuss. So the first and foremost topic that is about SAS we are going to discuss, because some of you may knew about the SAS. Some of you are completely like new to the SAS. Okay. So yeah, it is always very basic to make you explain or to explain you that what is the core thing that we are going to focus upon. Fine. So first we are going to discuss about the SAS. Then what is the supply chain or the supply efficiency? Then the supply chain analytics, the types of supply chain analytics, then what are the goals, then what is the supply chain automation, what is its optimization, and what is its benefits. Okay, so in this complete topic, we are going to discuss about the first description of the supply efficiency and the optimization, then how SAS helps in increasing the efficiency, that also we will discuss. Fine. So let's start with the SAS introduction. So SAS, as we know that it stands for the statistical analysis system, which is highly flexible and an integrated software environment that is used to access the data, manage the data, analyze, and to present the data. Okay. So when we are talking about SAS, so basically it is a statistical analysis system that is completely used for the data analysis. Okay. And it was developed by Dr. James Goodnight at North Carolina State University in 1976, and now it was owned and maintained by the SAS Institute. Fine. So basically, it is an analytical tool, which is nothing but it is the computer programming language. Okay, the backend has been maintained, has been designed with the computer programming language itself. Now, if I will talk about the supply chain, okay, or increasing the efficiency of the supply chain. So supply chain optimization, it aims to ensure the optimal operation of a manufacturing and distribution of the supply chain. This also includes the optimal placement of inventory within the supply chain, then minimizing the operating cost, how you can minimize the operating cost by including them by your manufacturing cost, okay, or also with the involvement on including your transportation cost, the distribution cost, right? So an organization supply chain is a critical business process that is crucial for a successful customer experience. And also a high performing supply chain enables the business efficiency and the responsiveness. So the customers get what they want, when and where they want it, right? Or else in a way that will be both profitable for the organization, and also it will contribute to the supply chain sustainability, fine. So if we will talk about the supply chain, we have completely summarized that. Fine. So SAS is a highly flexible and the integrated software development that is used to, as I told you, access, manage, analyze, and present the data. Okay, so accessing the data means what? If I will just go to the previous slide, here we have the access, manage, analyze, and present of the data. So before going to the supply chain, I just want to make you understand in detail about these 4 steps or these 4 process that are involved in the SAS. Right. So accessing the data means what? It means that SAS allows to access the data in any desired format that we want. We can access the data that is stored anywhere, whether it is in a file on your system or the data that is stored in any another databases. Okay, another databases, if I will take the example like Oracle Teradata, fine. It also supports the SQL data, mostly the relational data it supports, and also with the non-relational data, that is like the delimited files, the CSV files, or some kind of Excel files. Excel, it will be a like relational table. So yeah, some other delimited data like the text files, okay, any RTF files. And so these are the like all these formats SAS can access. Right, so it also helps us to access the data in an easy manner. Okay, we just have some procedures. Fine, we have the libraries. Okay, so yeah, in this way we can easily access the data. Now coming to managing the data, so it means what, when we are using the SAS, it also helps us to manipulate the data. In SAS, we have 4 steps. Okay, let me just write it here. Okay, we have the process that is access the data, first one. Okay, after accessing, what you have to do? We have to explore the data. Okay, access, we have to explore the data. Then we have to prepare the data. Okay, prepare the data. Then we have to analyze the data. Okay, analyzing and reporting. Analyze and report the data. Then we have to export the data. This is the complete process of the SAS programming. Okay, so the part where we are exploring and we are preparing the data, this part is coming inside your this too. Okay, exploring and preparing the data, this part is coming inside your managing of the data. Okay, managing of the data means what? When we are preparing our data, when we are doing the manipulation, let's suppose we have some of the columns. Okay, let's suppose I have like 2 columns in which the data are unevenly distributed. So in that case, I can manipulate the data. I can manipulate those columns by giving some expressions, by the use of the functions, or I want to conditionally process some columns, some data. Fine. So all these things we can do with the manipulating of the data. You can create some new columns, okay, based on the conditions, based on the functions. Fine. So these things we can do with the managing of the data. Now coming to analyzing of the data. So whenever your data is completely prepared, okay, once your data is completely prepared, how you will analyze it? By grouping it. Okay, so you can group your data. You can create some you can check the reports, like you can create some reports on the frequency or on the summary statistics, okay, or on the complete statistics, right, which includes all the things, that is your mean, what is the standard deviation, what is the median. Okay, then I can say the what is the skewness, what is the cortices. Okay, so if you belong to the statistical background, then you can and you will be able to understand what is skewness, what is cortices. Okay, what is the correlation, what is the covariance. So all these things you can also represent it when you are going to analyze the things. Once you will analyze the data, okay, you can merge it. Okay, you can process it in the groups. So once you will analyze the data, what you will do, you will come into a conclusion. Fine, you will come into a conclusion. So after the analyzing the data, what you have to do, you have to create the reports. These reports are nothing but these are the summary report, the summary statistic report, like frequency report or the means report. Okay, we have the bivariate reports. Fine, a one-way or two-way reports we have. So this thing you can create. Now, after creating the report, what you have to do, you have to present it or you have to export it. Right? You have to present it or you have to export it. How you can export it? So SAS provides desired formats. Fine. You can export your data in desired formats like in PDF, in RTF. Fine. So in this format, in HTML, in also as a ebooks, iBooks. Fine. You can export your reports. Okay. So this is the complete framework also I have discussed here. Fine. Now, coming to your supply chain. So, if you can see the definition, a supply chain is a network of all the individuals, organizations, resources, activities, and technology involved in the creation and sales of the product. Okay, so basically, it is completely involved in the creation and sales of the product, right? So if you will see the supply chain, what is the supply chain is giving here? The raw material. Obviously, when we are talking about the supply chain, the amount of time it takes any of these processes that we have, that is from raw material, the raw material will go to the supplier, then it will go to the factory, right? Then from the factory, the distribution happen. Then from the distribution, it will send to the retailer. Then from the retailer, it will go to the customer. Yes and no. So the first step of any supply chain of any selling and buying a product of any manufacturing a product, so that always starts with the raw materials, because without the raw materials we can't evolve a product, we can't make a product. So if you can't make a product, then how you are going to distribute it, how you are going to sell it, right? So the raw material is very important. Fine, the raw material is very important in the supply chain process. Now, so what is the amount? I would just stick to that point. So the amount of time that it takes any of these processes from start to completion is known as a lead time. Fine. So this complete process from this to this is known as your lead time. So these supply chains are managed by the supply chain managers, fine, who are responsible to monitor this lead time. Okay, so the supply chain managers are responsible for monitoring this lead time and also for coordinating the processes in each step to maximize the customer satisfaction. Okay, to maximize the customer satisfaction. So the supply chains can be contrasted against the value chains, right? So they contribute to the end product in different ways. Yes or no? Now, the supply chains main aim is to meet the customer demands. And in that case, or in the other hand, if you will look out about if you will look about your value chains, then value chains seek to add value to your product on top of its inherent value. Okay, and the purpose of the value chain is to give the company a competitive advantage in the industry. Right? So the supply chain management and the value chain management are two slightly different perspectives on the same basic process, and they work in tandem to meet two slightly different definitions of demand. One will be your company demand, second one will be your customer demand. So when we are talking about the supply chain management, it is used for satisfying the customer demand. Okay, but when you are talking about the value chain, it is for the company's demand. Okay, or the competitive advantage that a company will gain in the industry. Fine. So supply chain management, we also call it as the SCM. It is the oversight of materials, the information and the finances as they move. Okay, as they move in a process from supplier to manufacturer, then to wholesaler to retailer, and then to the consumer. Fine. So these three main flows, that is from supplier to manufacturer, then manufacturer to wholesaler to retailer, and then to the consumer. These three main flows of the SCM or of the supply chain are the including your product flow, information flow, and the finances flow. Okay, and these occur across three main stages: strategy, planning, and operation. Okay, strategy, planning, and operation. So SCM always involves coordinating and integrating these flows both within and among the companies. Fine. So when we are talking about the supply chain analytics, we will see. So the supply chain analytics is the analysis of information that companies draw from a number of applications tied to their supply chain. Right? So the same thing is written here. The supply chain analytics refer to a suite of software innovations and tools that support the automation of tedious, repetitive, mechanical, replicable, and otherwise non-specialized tasks. The same thing I told you. Okay, so these are nothing but these are the analysis of the information that a companies draw from a number of applications tied to their supply chain. So this is including the supply chain execution systems for the procurement, the inventory management, the order management, or we call it as a warehouse management. Fine. And also for the fulfillment, for the transportation management, including the shipping. Okay, so supply chain is like a dominoes. Each step, dominoes means each step in the network affects the one that follows it. That means the complete process is dependent. Okay, the complete process is dependent. Okay, so fine. And ultimately, if one step is dependent over the another, right, then if any issues will arise at any stage, obviously it could impact the ability to meet the customer's expectations, right? Because both the means not both the like all the stages are entering to each other, means they're dependent upon each other. Fine. So if any stage some issues will arise, then obviously the rest of the stage will be affected, right? And all the stages will be affected, then it will reduce the impact, right? It will reduce the impact to meet the customer expectations, right? So each piece of the software that is mentioned may have its own reporting capabilities that shed light on that specific step in the supply chain, like the predicted lead times for suppliers, or the current safety stock levels at the warehouse, or the orders that is fulfilled per hour. But the supply chain analytics are most powerful when all these systems are integrated. Okay, all the systems will get integrated via the enterprise resource planning system. You may heard about the ERP system, right? So this is nothing but this is your enterprise resource planning system. So this ERP itself or a separate application that can present and illustrate the data from across your global supply chain through the dashboards or reports. Fine. So ERP software. If you have knew about the tally, okay, the when the account in the accounts or in your data entry job, mostly tally is used, right? So tally is nothing but it is a ERP software. Fine. The foundation is an ERP software. Okay. So ERP, what is the use of the ERP software? It will illustrate the data from or across your global supply chain through dashboards or report. So through ERP software, you can easily view the data, illustrates your data through reports and dashboards. Now, when you are something viewing in the form of reports or in the form of dashboards, then obviously it will be good and it will be like presentable, right? A human brain can easily understand the things in a pictorial format rather than written in any notes or in any program. Fine. Now, coming to the types of supply chain, but before that, I can give you one simple information that whenever we are using the ERP software, the ERP system, okay, so that gives the employees a comprehensive view of the logistic network, and also it enables them to understand the upstream and the downstream effects of a specific disruption. Fine. So in this way, if this will happen, then obviously they can respond quickly in a way that mitigates the issue as much as possible, right? It will not take that much of time to bring a proper effort, okay, to bring a proper effort to solve the issues that has been happening, any upstream or any downstream on any issues that is logistically happening. So it will be easier. Yes or no? So let's take an example. For example, some systems can analyze the data in real time, right? We know some systems can analyze the data in real time, and also it can send out the alerts to the signal potential problems before they turn into a bigger issue. Right. So the supply chain analytics always make it possible for companies to gather, to assess, and to act upon the data generated by their supply chains. It also allows them to make not only the quick adjustments, but also the long-term strategic changes that will give the business a competitive advantage. So, if I will talk about a few examples of supply chain analytics, those are the demand planning. Demand planning is nothing but like when we are using the historical data and the other factors to predict what customers will order. Okay, so this is your demand planning. Second one, I can tell you the example of the sales and operations planning. Okay, so sales and operations planning means what? When we are talking about, or when we are predicting about the manufacturing and the or the purchasing the goods. Okay, manufacturing and the purchasing of the goods, and organization need to cover the forecast demands. Then third is will be your the inventory management. So inventory management means tracking the sell through of items and which SKUs it needs to replenish. Okay, so each of these activities can increase the overall efficiency of a business operations, which can lead to the sizable cost savings. Right? And for instance, the more accurate demand and planning means you obviously you can avoid the overspreading on the procurement while also avoiding both the stockouts and the excess inventory. Fine. Now, if I will talk about the supply chain, okay, the types of the supply chain, we have the descriptive analytics, okay, we have your predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, and the cognitive analytics, right? So, what is this descriptive analytics? Descriptive analytics will look at what happened in past, okay, what happened in past. Let me write it here. This will look out what happened in past. Fine. Now, what do you mean by the predictive analytics? Predictive analytics will conclude, okay, it will conclude what could happen. What could happen. Okay, what could happen. Now, coming to your prescriptive analytics, what do the prescriptive analytics do? It will give you the suggestions, okay, that what actions should be taken. What actions should be taken. Let me write it here so that it will be easy for you, easy for us to go one by one. Fine. Now coming to your cognitive analytics, what do the cognitive analytics do? So this one is for answering the difficult and the complicated questions. Okay, that means answering the complexity. Okay, answering the complexity. And answering the complexity. Now let's understand one by one. Okay, what is your descriptive analytics? So descriptive analytics, as we understand, it will look at what happened in the past. That means what? It will take the past data and it will do the analyze, and it will analyze it. Fine. So in descriptive analytics, we can identify the patterns in the historical data. And this historical data could come from both the internal supply chain execution software and also from your external systems that offers the visibility across the suppliers, distributors, various the sales channels and the customers. Okay, so through this analytics, we can compare the same type of data from different periods to identify the patterns, and also we can hypothesize the potential causes of the changes. Fine. So a manufacturer may review a descriptive analytics dashboard on a daily basis and discover half of his deliveries to the distributors are running late. So leaders at the company can then investigate that problem, okay, further, and also they can learn that a snowstorm hitting the region where that group of distribution is located has slowed down its trucks. Fine. So by using your descriptive analytics, they can find out the pattern in the from the historical data, and they can relate it. They can check, they can monitor that what kind of changes is occurring or what kind of changes should be done. Right. Now, coming to your predictive analytics, just like it sounds, predictive analytics help the companies to predict what could happen, okay, in the future, and what will be the business impact of the different scenarios, including the potential, including the supply chain disruptions and the other outcomes. Right? So by forcing the leaders to consider these possible scenarios before they happen, they can be proactive rather than reactive. Right? So they should take, or they will have the time to prepare a strategy for an expected spike, or nothing but we call it as a fall. Okay. And so they can prepare a strategy for an expected fall in demand, for instance, and also they can react accordingly. Right? So looking at the same manufacturer, it may also review the latest economic projections from the Federal Reserve and anticipate the sales will fall by 10 to 20% in the next quarter. So with that in mind, it orders the small quantities of the raw materials from its suppliers and cuts back hours for part-time workers for the next month. Right? They can do this? Yes or no? Now, coming to your prescriptive means this analytics combine the results of the descriptive analytics and the predictive analytics to suggest what actions a business should take now to reach its desired goals. Okay, so this type of analytics could help the companies to tackle the problems and to fend off the major supply chain disruptions potentially by evaluating both their own information and that of partners. Okay, so since the prescriptive analytics are more complex and they require more robust software that can swiftly process, and also it can interpret a lot of data. Okay, so the prescriptive analytics may tell the manufacturer that one of its key suppliers in the Southeast Asia, let's take the example I'm just telling you, that one of its key supplier in the Southeast Asia is at the risk of going out of the business within the next year. Fine. So the consistent history of the late orders, the reduced capacity and the declining economic conditions in the region all will point to this outcome. So in response, the manufacturer could request a meeting with the suppliers executives to figure out if they are in the financial trouble and how it might be able to help. If there is no clear resolution, the business can start waiting other suppliers to replace this one before it's too late. Right? Okay, this is one this is one basic example of the prescriptive analytics. Now coming to the cognitive analytics. So cognitive analytics try to replicate the human thinking and the behavior. As I told you, when it comes to answer some difficult questions or some complicated questions, it always helps the organizations. Fine. So these analytics are capable of understanding the things like the context when interpreting the result. So to do this, cognitive analytics relies on the artificial intelligence. Okay. Now, specifically with the machine learning, with the deep learning, which allows us to become more smarter over time. Right? So this can greatly reduce the amount of work that is required by the staff to produce these reports and analyze and the analysis, and also to empower the employees beyond the data science team to pull the results and understand them. Okay, so with this AI-enabled software, the manufacturer may be able to automate much of the work that goes into the demand planning, and also the solution could process all the available data as well as the internal data, the external factors. Fine. So, gathering this all, they will come up with the highly accurate and the detailed suggestions for the amount of each product it needs to produce for the upcoming quarter to meet the demand. Fine. And also this reduces the additional expenses that come with making more inventory than necessary or a lost sales from failing to meet the demand. Fine. So where do we use the SAS then? We use SAS in every perspective, in descriptive, predictive, prescriptive, cognitive. Okay, if we will merge SAS with AI, then obviously we can get the cognitive analytics. Rest of the thing, the descriptive, predictive, and the prescriptive, we can deal with the SAS platform. Fine. So we will stop it here and we will discuss the second half of this particular topic tomorrow at the same time with the same link, okay, with the same person with the same topic. Fine. So till then, everyone take care. Have a nice day ahead. Bye bye.